Love that suffers long, kind, does not envy, does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. It never fails, meaning it never stops loving.
Hide me now under your wing. Cover me within your mighty hand. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still, know you are God. I will be still, know you are God. Find rest, my soul, in Christ alone. Know His power in quietness and trust. When the oceans rise and thunder roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still and know you are God. I will be still. When the oceans rise, the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still and know you are God. I will be still and know you are God. I will be still and know you are God.
God must be in the first place. First, God. Now, some people think, well, God is an egotistic person. He wants first every time. He says, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. He wants to be number one in our life all the time. Why can't I have somebody else as number one? Why does He want to be? He's an egomaniac, I think. Some kind of an egomaniac that wants to be number one all the time, doesn't like to be number two. No, God is not an egomaniac. God has not got a psychological problem or anything like that. God is saying that's the order. That's the way it is. That's the way things are. Why did He say, seek first the kingdom of God, then all these things shall be added to you? Because I made the things, man, be connected with me. I'm the maker and the supplier. If you get disconnected from me, then you get disconnected from the supply. He's talking sense. Who has problem is not God, us, many times. Be connected with me, then you'll be connected with all that I supply. That's what He's saying. So anytime you put other things first, then God. You put man first, and then God. You say, let's forget about God or think about God later. That's wrong. That's a wrong approach. The fourth thing is more profound thing. And that is, that type of approach where it says, let's love one another, forget about God and the whole business, the idea of God and all that. That is wrong. Because it takes such a false view of man and the self. A false view of man and the self. Let me explain this. These people that say, let's love one another, don't even understand what man has become as a result of the fall. What fall has done to man. You know what fall has done to man? You know what is the outcome of the fall? What happened as a result of man's sin? You can say it in one word, and that is, man has become selfish. Selfishness is the face of sin. Selfishness is the image and likeness of sin. God's image and likeness is love. Man was created in God's image and likeness to be in love and walk in love. When man sinned, selfishness became his nature. He became an extremely selfish, self-centered person. Selfishness, self-centeredness is the thing that man is ruled by today. Now, this is the thing that has done so much damage in this world. That's why we can't be at peace. That's why homes cannot have peace. That's why we cannot be at peace with one another many times. That's why there are wars. That's why there's so much tension in this world. That's why all these problems going on. Because as a result of sin, entire humanity had this new nature, a nature of selfishness. They're characterized by selfishness. One word characterizes human beings today in their fallen nature and state, and that is selfishness. At the core, they're very selfish. Now, C.S. Lewis, I think I may have told you this before, but C.S. Lewis writes a book about love, and I remember reading and laughing hard about this. He tells a story of a mother in a large family. And the mother, from morning till evening, she'll be spinning, it seems. I mean, she'll be running up and down, doing everything, for everybody. She'll be telling the kids and the husband, have you brushed your teeth? Where's your shirt? I have to iron your shirt, and I have to do this, that. And she'll be just working for them and doing everything for them and literally managing them. Have you done this? Have you done that? What about this? What about that? Where did you go? Why didn't you tell me? That type of stuff, All day you'll be hearing her doing this. And finally one day she died, it seems. When she died, they went and buried her. And everybody thought, my God, that lady used to just spin around the house so much from morning till evening. She'll be on her feet doing things. And she had everything totally in control. Nothing can happen without her knowledge. No one can go out or come in, do anything without her knowledge. That's the way she kept her house. Now she's dead. What are these guys going to do, they thought. They went and buried. It seemed like they were finally at peace when they came home. C.S. Lewis tells that story very nicely. They were finally at peace. They were all coming and they were breathing a, sigh of relief. They said, my God, the storm is over. Now we can live happily ever after, that type of thing. And coming to find out, they found out why it was so. Because even though she did so much work for everybody, the whole motivation behind that was her selfishness, that everything should spin around her. What C.S. Lewis is trying to say is that everybody is selfish. You can't deny it. So that even you see good works in a human being today, in a fallen man, even his good works is tainted by that selfishness. You cannot see good works without selfishness. There is a wrong motive behind that good works. He's doing it for some reason. Maybe to get a fame and a name or whatever, the different reasons may be there and we don't know. And we are not here to judge that reason. But what C.S. Lewis is saying is a tremendous biblical truth. He is saying man has become selfish due to sin. Paul says, there is none righteous, no, not one. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And C.S. Lewis says, yes, everybody's fallen. Everybody's got the sin nature. The sin nature manifests itself in the selfishness and self-centeredness of man. Everybody is selfish. And the love of a mother is the highest kind of human love that you will see in this world, they say. And it's a shame that even in the love of the mother, there is some taint of selfishness. You've seen how it causes some problems later on when they get the kids married off and stuff like that. The mother says, this guy listened to me for 30 years. Now he's listening to his wife. I am not going to let that situation change now after 30 years. Next 30 years will be same. If she doesn't want it, she must walk out. And she says, no, he must listen to me, not to his mother. If he wants to listen to his mother, tell him to go to his mother. I mean, they tear each other apart. And wars between nations are nothing but mother-in-law, daughter-in-law fights on a national level. It's the same selfishness manifested in a national level, you see. One great preacher writes about, these problems, the wars and all these things. He says, he says, they're talking peace, they're having a round table conference, and they're trying to achieve peace and all that. He says, all they'll be able to achieve is a ceasefire. That means we don't shoot for next 24 hours, That's not peace. He says, these guys, listen to this, he says, these guys can't even make peace between their wife and themselves. How are they going to make peace between one nation and the other? Christian preaching is amazing. It brings out these things, that you hate to hear, my God, what is this, He says, these guys can't even fix their family relationships and get along with one another. How are they going to fix the relationship between one nation and the other? That's a bigger issue. Same thing blown up in bigger proportion. Too many people are involved. How are you going to fix it? So, that's the cause of tension, selfishness, self-centeredness. Why I'm saying this, you take this law that says love one another, and these people are saying, forget about God, let's talk about that later. That causes tension. Let's love one another. Now you're talking about loving one another to a guy who's full of selfishness. You're telling him, love one another as you love yourself, right? As you love yourself, you love your neighbor, you're telling him. He knows how to love himself. That's no problem. He really loves himself. He wants to eat first. He wants to buy his clothes first. He wants to do everything for himself first. He is such a selfish person. Me first. Me. What's in it for me? Me. See, sin has turned him inwardly. So he sees everything from that angle, Everything he sees it in light of him. What does it matter to him? How does it profit him? What kind of loss it will bring for him? How it will damage him? How it will build him? What it will do for him? He cannot look at it any other way. He'll only look at it in that selfish way. He'll only consider what will happen to him if I do it. He will not consider the world. He will not consider family. He will not consider me first. That's the way it is. So he knows how to love himself. The problem is, you're telling a guy who's fallen in sin, is totally selfish, he knows how to love himself, and it's impossible for him to love others as he loves himself. It is impossible for him to love others as he loves. It's impossible. You can preach to him, you can teach him, you can do all these things to him, and he will listen to it, but he's going to do what he's going to do Because he is a fallen creature. He is fallen, and sinfulness is reflected in his self-centeredness. That is why this whole idea of let's love one another, love your neighbor as yourself, forget about God, is wrong, because man has got a very deep problem, the problem of sin, problem of selfishness, which makes it impossible for him to love his neighbor. Therefore, this commandment of God is not possible at all. That's one problem. The other problem is these people that say, love your neighbor as yourself, don't understand what love is. In the Greek language, there are several words. One word is eros, for love. Eros means a fleshly love, a desire that comes from the flesh, a bodily lust. That is what eros is. Phileo is another word. That is affection. You find it among family members or friends and so on. Affection. You like someone. You really like someone. That's affection. The third word is the word that is used in the Bible very much, in the New Testament very much, and that is the word agape. Right? You want to understand that word agape, turn to John chapter 21, to this wonderful passage here. After the resurrection, Jesus comes and meets with Peter. And look at the conversation going on between Jesus and Peter. John chapter 21, verse 15. 21:15. So when they had eaten breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me more than these? He said to him, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. He said to him, feed my lambs. Now, in English, they've used the same word, love, in Jesus' question and Peter's answer. Jesus says, do you love me? Peter says, yes, Lord, I love you, right? When Jesus said, do you love me? He meant, do you love me with agape love? That profound love, that intelligent love that we talked about? That love that's not just an animal instinct, that love that thinks, that love that loves like God? Do you love me? When Jesus said, do you love me? He meant the agape love. When Peter said, I love you, he meant phileo love, affection. He's telling Jesus, I like you, Lord. I really like you. Jesus says, do you love me? With that profound love, divine love, agape love. His reply was, I like you. I'm affectionate about you. Now listen to the next. He said to him again, second time, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me? Agape is used there again. He said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. This time, phileo is used. I have affection for you, he says. Now look at third time, verse 17. He said to him the third time, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me with agape love? And he said to him, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. This time, Peter, 17th verse, when Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? The word there, if you have a good Bible, they'll probably give it in the margin. The word there is not agape. The word is phileo this time. 2 times he asked him, do you love me with divine love? With God's love? With that kind of love? With that profound love, do you love me? Third time he is asking him, do you have affection for me? And Jesus said, yes. Peter said, yes, I have affection for you. But the thing is, the third time Peter was grieved. Why was he grieved? It says Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, do you love me? Now, a lot of people have taken this and they think Peter was upset and Peter was grieved because 3 times he asked him. No, read it properly. He was not grieved because he was asked 3 times, do you love me? He was grieved because he said to him the third time, do you phileo me? Do you have affection for me? That is, the third time when Jesus asked the question, by the third time Jesus has come to the conclusion, this guy does not love me like I love him. Jesus loved him. This guy who said, I will be with you, I will never leave you, I will never forsake you and all that. And when Jesus was arrested and they came to him and said, we saw you with Jesus, didn't we? He said, no, I've never seen this man. I don't even know who he was. I've never been with him. He totally denied Christ. And Jesus died for this guy to forgive his sins on the cross of Calvary and gave his life for him. And Jesus is asking, do you love me like that, Peter? Do you love me like I loved you? Do you love me in such a way that you'll even give your life for me? Do you love me with that divine love, that kind of love? Peter says, no, I like you, Lord. I don't know if I can do all that stuff that you did. I like you. So twice Jesus asked like that. And the third time Jesus said, do you like me? And Peter was grieved because third time Jesus has downgraded him and has concluded that this guy is not able to love him like he loved him, right? This word agape is a tremendous word. The classical Greek language does not, they've not used that word in the classical Greek. The poets and the philosophers, they wrote a lot about love, just like our poets and philosophers today. They contemplate on love, think about love, and write a lot about love and so on. So they've written a lot about love, but they never used the word agape. They've used the other words, but never the word agape. Never. When they translated the Old Testament into Greek language, they say that very rarely the word agape occurs there. When they translated the Old Testament from Hebrew to Greek. But in the classical Greek, in philosophy and poetry, it does not occur at all. It is not a common word in use at all. But with the New Testament writers, it has become a common word. When you turn to the New Testament, for example, with Paul, he uses phileo only twice, affection, love only twice. He writes about agape 30 times. He uses the word love. This kind of love has become the predominant thing in the Christian church, through the Christian church. That's why in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, when Paul writes, he writes like this. Listen to this, chapter 13, verse 1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have no love, I have become sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I'm nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. Now, he's been talking about love. He says, if I don't have love, and I'm ready to do all these things, give my body to be burned, give all my goods to the poor and all that. If I don't have love, it's nothing, he says. But then he realizes, wait a minute, I'm talking about love, and none of these guys understand what love is. They know the cinema love. They know the love that comes in the poetry. They know the love that comes in philosophy. They have heard these loves, the love that the Greek writers have written about. The Greek culture, is a tremendous culture. They're very learned people. They talked about the flowering of the Greek culture, I mean, they considered everybody else barbarians, that they are the highly refined, educated people, That's the way the Greeks were. They were proud about their education. Very refined people. So they wrote a lot about love. But Paul realizes, wait a minute, none of these philosophers, none of these men have ever written about this love. And I'm talking about that love, agape love. When he said, if I give my body to be burned and have no love, it is nothing, he means agape love. If I don't have agape love and I do all these things, it's nothing. And then he realizes, wait a minute, these people don't understand what I'm talking about because nobody has ever written about it, nobody has ever explained it. Therefore, from verse 4, he begins to explain it. Look at this. He defines it. Why? Because no one has heard about it. No one has known it. No one has any clarity in their minds about what this kind of love is all about. So from verse 4 he says, love suffers long. Love is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It's not puffed up. Love does not behave rudely. It does not seek its own. Is not provoked. Thinks no evil. Does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. This verse 4 to 8 is Paul's definition of love. Since no one has heard about it, no one has any clarity about it, No one really knows what this love is about. He says, wait a minute, let me tell you what this love is all about. This is a new kind of love that has come into the world through Jesus Christ our Lord. The world has never seen this love, never experienced this love. Christians who have put their faith in Christ have this love poured into their hearts, and they're now experiencing it. But they must also understand what it is. What kind of love is it? It is so different from what is there in the world. The world does not know it. What about this love? It's a love that suffers long, it's kind, does not envy, does not parade itself, it's not puffed up, it's not behave rudely, does not seek its own, it's not provoked, thinks no evil, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. It never fails, meaning it never stops loving.
More than I could hope or dream of, you have told your favor on me. One day in the house of God is better than 1,000 days in the world. So blessed, I can't contain it. So much, God, give it away. Your love taught me to live now. You are more than enough for me. More than I could hope. More than I could hope or dream of. You put your favor on me. One day in the house of God is better than 1,000 days in the world. So blessed, I can't contain it. So much, you gotta give it away. Your love has taught me to live now. You are more than so blessed, I can't contain it. So much, you gotta give it away. Your love has taught me to live now. You are more than enough for me. Lord, you're more than enough for me. Lord, you're more